one family, one people, one planet, one love, one family, one people, one planet, one love, one family.
Good morning and welcome to SoulCall Sunday. My name is Lisa Ferraro, and wherever you are on your path to evolving and growing your consciousness, we welcome you here at SoulCall Global. And if you're watching this real time right now on Sunday, hello, and please join us in the chat opportunities. Let us know where you're joining us from. And if you're watching this later, you can also add comments, and we appreciate knowing that you get to enjoy Sundays however you like, and come back and check us out and share us with your friends. This morning, we're talking about the neutral zone and how we could be a neutral zone in consciousness. And the tag of it is where bad ideas go to die. And I'll tell you more about what the inspiration for this talk came from and just what the heck it is I'm talking about. And it's things that we've experienced repeatedly in our lifetime for sure already, and we're bound to happen upon again and again. This morning, we're going to begin with a beautiful Qigong practice. And it is in recognition that in consciousness, we can use our minds to tap into more of what is available to us in every moment. This energy that is within and without, that pure potential energy. And it's the life force that, when we eat food, the idea between eating food is to get the charge from the food. There's life force in it. And it helps us to keep the charge of these bodies alive. So by pulling in the energy of the cosmic forces around us, and when we were kids, we probably did this more than we even realized. We're summoning forth using our will, directing it through our bodies, and becoming this confluence of consciousness and beauty. As we move through this 3D world, we have access to more. And so we're going to invite Deborah Weisenberger-Lippitz to lead us in a Qigong practice, allowing us to get centered and grounded and filled with that vital life force, Qi.
Hello, everyone. We will continue with our Qigong practice, Rofu, opening up the lower dantian, kidneys, SI joints, Mingmang, creating this huge space for transformation on every level, physically, emotionally, spiritually. Okay, please look forward with the eyes open. From inside the mind's home, moving through Yin Tang, the third eye out in all directions to merge with infinite space. Gather all the healing Qi, good information, and pull it back through Yin Tang to the center of the head, and naturally close the eyes. Now, merging outside to inside, our true essence begins to stir, awaken. Our inner lighthouse getting brighter, brighter, flooding, illuminating our entire system, flowing out, connecting us all, heart to heart. Then gathering all this healing Qi, good wisdom, and pulling it inside, contracting inside. So we are all working together, integrated as one with all things. Allow the hands to move up. Place the centers of the palms on top of the navel. Allow Gong to do Qi. And begin Rofu. Push SI joints, kidneys forward, to the right, back to the left, and forward. Circle right, back, left, forward. Continue circling. Circling, opening, lower dantian, huge space inside, circling, vast, huge inner space. Vast, transforming, then gradually stop movement, observing chi. Huge space, merging, transforming, altering, healing, opening. Then relax the hands to both sides. Gently open the eyes, smiling from the inside out, and give thanks. Aware our inner lighthouse is now shining from the inside out, very brightly, connecting, integrating on all levels.
Can just feel this and bringing this in to the present moment, allowing our bodies to feel that light, knowing that we are made of that light. We ask, O infinite divine beloved, grant us light in our thoughts, light in our speech, light in our breath, light in our hearts, light in our eyes, light in our hands, light in our feet. O infinite, increase our light everywhere, recognizing that we are made of light and love, and that is in this love that we are equal in the eyes of the infinite. Please enjoy this beautiful song called Love Makes Us Equal.
Love gives you more. Practice everything you're able. Connect to a part of you that's faithful. Make room for those not like you at your table. Call it angels, call the moon doves, the only thing between us. Love makes us equal. Love makes us equal.
Yeah, fabulous song written by Natalia Zuckerman. And as Terry pointed out, there's going to be an amazing concert she's going to be doing on September 17th. There'll be more about that in our newsletter. And you want to make sure you catch Natalia. She's an incredible artist. We're lucky to have her as part of our founding members of SoulCall Global and my partner in all of this. So really grateful for that. Love makes us equal. Doesn't always feel like that sometimes. The title for today's talk is The Neutral Zone, Where Bad Ideas Go to Die. A couple weeks ago, I had the pleasure of playing pickleball with some friends here. And it's very much like table tennis, ping pong, but it's played on a tennis court. Lines are smaller, rules are a little bit different. Well, what became apparent to me is sometimes we get in these situations, conversations with people, or not really conversations at all. They devolve into arguments, but not in the true sense of the word argument, where people can articulate a point of view to bring forth a common next step. It's just fighting. And it's interesting when that happens, when we're engaged in, or we see it around us, or maybe it's on our social media platforms. We're just scrolling through to see what our friends are doing, or to tell them what you're going to be doing or what you've done, just to share. And there are these points of, I call them little hooks or little ends of a pull toy. If you ever watched two dogs going at it in the yard with a pull toy, somebody's just always trying to engage, or just to put it out there that maybe you'll pick up the other end of the pull toy and start this argument. And I thought about when we were younger, when I was younger, especially, you've heard me tell this story where I would say to my mom, I hate that. And my expression of saying, I hate that, it was more my inner frustration of not having the tools to deal with a thing that I knew shouldn't get me this upset inside. Think of a time you realized this frustration is because I don't have the tools to deal with or to address what is coming that is making me lose my peace. It's not making me, it's presenting an opportunity. And the first flip is in recognizing nothing is making me do anything but myself. That's the first tool, is the recognition of, yeah, this is incoming, but I'm at choice. I actually have a choice as to how I respond. When we're growing up, we are influenced very much by our environment. There's this big conversation in the psychology field, of which I'm a part, right, of nature versus nurture. And just the question, the verses in the middle, is flawed. It's both. It's a both and world we live in. It's nature and it's nurture. So if we see our parents or the people who raised us going into a particular situation with a certain tool, sometimes it's anger, or responding or reacting with silence. The silent treatment is different than beautiful silence, isn't it? Have you ever been on the receiving end of the silent treatment? That's not very fun, but that's might have been a tool that maybe we learned growing up, because we get an effect that we might want as a child, which is to irritate the daylights out of somebody maybe, or maybe we just want a situation to stop, or these are the tools of children. But as we evolve and we do our spiritual practice, we start to learn how to choose from more sophisticated tools. Just like toys in a playroom, you've got age-appropriate toys to play with. As we evolve in our spiritual practice, all of a sudden we get not necessarily age-appropriate toys, but consciousness-appropriate opportunities to use these tools of our calmness, of our peace, of our intelligence, our inherent cosmic consciousness, and we bring those forth to a situation. So this pickleball thing, going back to pickleball and tennis, maybe you're watching some of the tennis tournaments that are happening right now. I realize, you volley the ball, you try to hit it over the net. Somebody serves, and then you try to hit it back, and then they try to hit it back over the net, and a series of volleys happen, and it's kind of quick. But the game is over. The point is over when somebody hits it out, or if you hit it into the net on the return of the serve and it just falls to the court, you can't play anymore. The volley is over at that point. And I thought, what if we could become the neutral zone, like the net on a pickleball or a tennis court or a ping pong table or a volleyball court? The net really doesn't care. It's just neutral zone. It's the net. It's doing the same thing for this side as it is for that side. There's no interference unless we put the ball into the net. The net doesn't even come literally into play unless somebody hits the ball in it or tips it. But it's us hitting into the neutral zone. So like, what if we had a volley? What if these thoughts that come in, these points of conversation maybe that we would find irritable, or we feel like we need to respond and straighten that person out. We got to get their thinking right. What if we just, instead of doing that ineffectively as it can be sometimes, what if we just allow that serve that came over the net, just hit it into the net and say, I'm not even volleying this thought with you, making the thought become the ball. People are always trying to serve balls into our court, so to speak. We don't always have to return it and have them return it. And what I found in pickleball is, because it's on a smaller court space, you can really get the ball going back and forth really fast. And sometimes isn't that just like a conversation? It's a reaction. It's largely a game of reaction. There's skill involved, yes, but it's a reaction to something that's coming rather quickly. And sometimes don't conversations kind of feel like this?
At the fridge, Perry, swinging down on you from like a Tarzan rope and smacking into you while we were standing on the cylinder. We got so many bumps, bruises, and injuries that we eventually decided not to do it anymore. That was one game that was tougher than the Gladiators.
Do you ever feel like a gladiator in the conversations you have with some people? They're just trying to knock you off center, and you're trying to hold your center of peace. And it is. They got rid of that game with the gladiators. These people were fierce. Some of the things they do are absolutely out of this world in terms of stamina. But if you're like the gladiator of consciousness trying to hold your ground, even the gladiators stopped doing it because there were so many injuries in it. But what if we could just not have that situation? The only thing harder than playing the gladiator game might be this one right here. The extreme sport of extreme ironing. As if ironing, you got to find a way to make it intense. That's an actual sport in the world, extreme ironing. I thought extreme ironing was, that was one of my chores when I was a kid, to iron the clothes for 7 people. That kept me busy, but I listened to the radio while I was doing it. So I kind of made it a fun thing. So sometimes it feels like extreme ironing or the gladiators just launching into a conversation, people trying to knock you off center. What if we don't start our day like that, or go into our next conversation with somebody trying to knock each other off center? Well, what if we become the neutral zone? The zone. And something I've been saying lately is it's more effective to live from. It's more effective than to go to. Some people say, go to that space within. What if we turn the go to that space within to let's begin living from that place within, that place of peace. And every day we make deposits in ironing for 7 people is not, well, ironing for 7 people was fun, Terry. It's kind of funny. But there's this way, if we stay in that space of peace, and start living from our sacred soul center, the place, our spiritual practice is just like that. Maybe we make deposits in our reservoir of peace in silent meditation. Those of you who join us Monday nights from 8 to 9 p.m., we have silent meditation, 9 p.m. Eastern. And we get into this place. Think of any sport you watch or anything you're engaged in. Maybe you're a musician and you get to a certain skill level, and then your instructor hands you a piece of music that is just the next level. It's like, whoa, you've been practicing and practicing. But to meet this challenge of this next level of opportunity for music, you have to call forth something else. But living from that place of peace, you'll find there's more to call forth than if we're living in the world of reaction to the senses. When we're living out in the world like that, living from presents reaction. Living from presents response. Going to means we're out in the world and we're got to get back to here and now find our. But what if we could hold our ground in a space of perfect poise, peace, and responding with love, the neutral zone? Just because somebody, I remember once at Thanksgiving dinner several years ago, there was a political conversation that got started, and most people in my family, all people in my family, know where I come on the side of opening to the hearts of all and creating loving spaces. So I'm pretty open-minded, open-hearted, and I see where people are coming from. And if you want to engage in a thoughtful conversation, I'm all for it. I really enjoy that. But this was something that was really an insult to a particular figure in the world at the time. And I didn't say anything. And they said it again. It was from the other end of the table. There was like 35 people in the room. And I didn't respond again. And finally, they were so frustrated that they didn't get that charge they were looking for. They thought for sure I would say something. And they said, "Did you hear what I said?" And I said, "Oh, I did hear that. And by the way, pass the gravy." So it was what could be your pass the gravy moment? I was living from my center and I wasn't going to it, because in that space between getting to it, you can get knocked off like those gladiators. People are the next time somebody hurls something into your field, like serves one of those conversations that comes like a gladiator trying to knock you off your podium, remember that image and allow yourself to laugh from the inside and say, yeah, when I was a child, I would have been right up there, but I'm not. Now I'm going to respond. I'm going to use my spiritual tools. Just like watching any sport, playing, there would be times playing softball. I remember we would be with an opponent who did something different on a play that maybe we hadn't seen. And they got the advantage over our team because they did something that we hadn't seen before. Well, you better believe the next day at practice, we were working on how to counter that. Or maybe if you're watching football now, they call an audible at the line of scrimmage because the defense doesn't look like what the offense was expecting. So they were going to run a particular play. Now they can't do it because it won't be as effective. How can we play from this place of our sacred center, our living from rather than going to? It's like that. I remember being in the backyard playing with our neighbors, and people would start name calling. If we were playing a game and they weren't able to score a point or something, then it would devolve into name calling. And there'd be somebody came up with, "I'm like rubber, you're like glue." Remember that? Everything you say bounces off of me and sticks to you. That was our early primitive form of like being the light, as Deborah was just teaching us, just being the light, allowing the frustration. You could see this person's frustrated. And we don't have to antagonize anyone. Most people can frustrate the daylights out of themselves from the inside all by themselves. We don't need to pile on, so to speak. So how can we be the neutralizing force? If you're making soup, like being in the pot of soup with the world, sometimes things are a little salty, or maybe you added too much spice, or you weren't sure with this new ingredient how much to put in, and maybe we overdid it. How do you neutralize it? Sometimes we add more water, sometimes we add more sauce, we add more this, we add more that to kind of help that to dissipate. So how can we be the neutralizing ingredient in the world? And I feel like a couple of things we do that we can keep our minds on is, one is just living from more often than going to. And when you feel like you've got to go to that space within, recognize, whoa, I let myself get off of my sacred center. How do we live from? Couple of things. You can find lots of ways to get yourself centered. I was just talking with Natalia before we started, and she took a whole day yesterday just to unplug from everything. Didn't even let herself journal, just being present with the beauty that was surrounding her in her home. Just allow ourselves to be with nature, beyond our thoughts, in that heart zone. So meditation is one. Visualization is another one. Practice allowing yourself to be filled with light. and then overflow it to people around you, those around you. If there's conflict, you don't have to close your eyes necessarily, but stay from that center. Visualize before you go into a space that you might anticipate could be challenging. Allow yourself to send light ahead. I remember Kathy Hearn, we were talking about this once. She would say, like, praying ahead. In Qigong, they call it setting up the chi field before you get to a place. Send the good energy so that when you walk in, the energy is already there. And you also be the thing that augments that, just bringing more of it already to an already lit space. You could just bring more of it. But the visualization of, I am a presence for good. I am peace. I am poise. I am infinite divine perfection. I am love. Love is the most permissive force of all. We can allow for others to have what they need in the moment, but we don't need to get caught up in it. That's one of my favorite sayings from my friend from Southern Ohio and Kentucky. She would say, don't get caught up in it. Again, that place of the neutral zone where bad ideas go to die. So when we're watching the news and we're watching social media, there's never been a time on the planet where we could get bad news or bad ideas vaulted into our sphere of influence 24/7. 24/7. I remember when Facebook first came out and we were going to be doing a rehearsal for the Jazz Up the Holidays concert. This is years ago. One of the musicians came in with his phone and he was taking a photograph of himself, just letting people know he was going to be going into rehearsal now. And every once in a while, I allow myself to go back to that time, my first experience of Facebook. And I said, we were all like, what are you doing? Why does anybody care what you're doing? Like, you're here with us. Oh yeah, this guy's brushing his teeth in St. Louis. I'm like, why does anybody? And now we've evolved into recognizing it can be a really cool thing. How many friends have we found? How many amazing events do you know are happening? We're using it right now. Hello. But it was something we had to get our minds around. So just like this distillation of how we neutralize the soup, how can we neutralize our consciousness when we're going to get exposed to things that are trying to trigger? Because once you get a trigger, you get an impulse. And with an impulse, you get a purchase or just something. Social media is always trying to get us to do something. While we're trying to, like, you open up cats. Oh my God, they're so fun. And the next one is, you want some shoes? Just pay attention to what your consciousness is doing. And if you can develop the discipline to see the things you're looking for. And, you know, I clicked on shoes one time. I was telling you, I clicked on shoes one time. Now, everything in my ad, every single thing in my feed is shoes. I just was looking at them one time, you know, but that's all it takes sometimes, is that one time. So allow yourself to be the place where a negative thought or a bad idea goes to die. Don't perpetuate it. If it's something you are not in alignment with, we don't have to keep thinking those thoughts. We could put forth the thought we would most like to see in the world without causing a either or. Put forth those loving thoughts and they neutralize all of the others and allow for more space and opportunity for other things to come through. So this step number 3. So far we have like living from instead of going to, which is the practicing of the presence. And then visualizing, practice visualizing yourself in a space before you get there of perfect poise, bringing your spiritual practice into it. This is where we get to practice. And if we lose our peace in a situation, well, you know, sometimes our spiritual practice happens on the mat or wherever else we do it, but then we get to the privilege of taking it out into the world. It gets us to see how we're doing. Maybe we were born for such a time as this, to bring in the light where there is challenge, to bring in the calm where there's disruption and unrest, so that we could think more clearly with more information coming in from this place of calm than this place of discord, fight or flight. It's when we get, you know, in front of people in survival mode, our challenge is to try to neutralize it so we can actually find a conversation and say, what happened? You know, if somebody's fleeing from a burning building, you don't ask a million questions like, what happened? You want to try to calm them down. Think about times where we can be the calming presence without telling people what to do. Sometimes the very best thing, this is number 3, we can offer is our silence, not our silent treatment, but our silence or a smile in response to something that's just not, offer love in return for a challenge. I mean, in return it with love instead of, a punch and a punch and fire with fire. Erika has a song, fighting fire with fire makes the fire bigger. And so this isn't it. It's love holds all things, and love will be the balm for what is necessary in the moment. If we keep ourselves in tune with the infinite and offer the presence of love to a situation, the infinite will know what to do with it, how to shape it, how to mold it, how to create an opportunity of growth and learning where we're not throwing tantrums like a little kid. And then release this and all of the energy of discord to the infinite. In other words, don't hold on to it and allow it to hit your body like a body blow. Recognize that if something got you for a minute, you don't have to plant that seed and let it grow. Just recognize there's something inside of me that still wants to say, you know what? No. And sometimes your no is a sacred no, and it is the yes of the universe. There's a part for that. But when we're living from and operating from, you'll know exactly what to do in the moment in service to the love. In service to the love. So sometimes our silence is the most neutralizing thing we can bring to a situation. A bad idea. When I say bad, I mean something that's harmful, not truth, not aligned with anything that's really true or real. If we are the ones that don't keep that conversation going, but instead create the opportunity for another conversation, which is a little more involved in serving the light. Did you hear about such and so? Gossip is on this train of bad ideas go to die. Let the gossip hit the net of your consciousness and fall. Game over. Next point. Next volley. And then you put the next volley into play. And that's how these sports work too. Then you get to serve the next one. Maybe you serve a thought of love or something a little more pleasant, a little more palatable, whatever that can be. You be the net, the neutral zone where something negative goes to just die. Just hit it into the net and say, I'm not playing that game. I'm not going to hit that back. I'm just going to let it go. And in standing and being grounded, not like the gladiators getting knocked off, staying flexible is how we can most hold our ground. So it's not being rigid, it's being flexible and accommodating to a point where, whoa, we can absorb this thing and send it back as love, like Tai Chi. Taking the energy, being the Tai Chi master of consciousness and offering back love and space, that neutralizing zone. This is a fantastic song written by Erika Lacker, and it's called Were I. And this song is so much about living in your authentic zone of connection, that living from point of consciousness, and just allowing the infinite to do what it does as you, because you were born for such a time as this, to create this neutral zone and putting forth more light. Neutralize the challenging negative stuff and offer something that's more like love and joy wherever you are. So one easy thing is just not allowing ourselves to circulate these ideas that are of no use to the whole. Be the net of consciousness. Allow those to fall and die, and neutralize the space around you by becoming that great source, that pillar of love, light, peace, and joy. Please enjoy Were I.
Were I stole, I'd be still, I'd feel quiet. there'd be fire and lightning in my core. Were I a river, I would flow, rubbing mountainsides to desert shores, and I'd carry the stories of the stone. Then you and bones, I am bedrock and valley. Were I tree, I'd stand tall. Leaves would push through my skin till the fall. When I'd bear myself naked to the winter winds. Then you and bones, I am bedrock and valley. Were I sun, were I sky, were I wind, I would hold to my ground. Then you and bones, I am bedrock and valley.
What just happened? I don't know about you, but holy moly. Thank you for the video, Natalia. It was perfect for that song. The first time I heard that song, I couldn't stop listening to it. I repeated it over and over and over again. And it's just that, be that cosmic warrior, that fierce, loving, beautiful soul that you are. We don't have to acquire these things. It's already in there. And these subtle things, these spiritual practices, practicing this incoming conversation from an outer source. First, those volleys happen from the inside a little bit, don't they? On a subtle level, we're working with our own thoughts often. So our spiritual practice, maybe we're working with our own inner thoughts. And that just helps us. They're subtle, but they are there. And then when we get out into the world and maybe we got something hurled at us like those flying gladiators, we can summon forth the awareness that we've got what it takes. So these subtle things might not be conversation, but it might be a mood. It might be that feeling, again, when somebody's going to give us a little juicy piece of gossip. Somehow we know when that's happening. And it's like, I don't want to get addicted to that feeling, that juiciness of what happened. Pay more attention to your inner garden and be this beautiful bounty of peace wherever you go. May your words be fragrant and beautiful and pure. And so we thank you for joining us this morning with SoulCall. And if you're watching us at a later date, we thank you for tuning in and sharing us with your friends, talking about social media. If you want to see more of this on social media, so do we. Share us with your friends on our YouTube channel and Facebook. Like us and share us at SoulCall Global. Bring us and some of our videos or our talks into your feed and watch the world change around you. We thank you for your donations. It is an invaluable part of what keeps us going at SoulCall Global and allows us to do the work we get to do in the world, not just in one location, but we've got little Soul Squad pods. If you're interested in being a Soul Squad pod leader, drop us a line at info@soulcallglobal.org, and we'll let you know when we have these pod meetings, which are going to be happening more frequently in the fall. And in just a short time, we're really growing and evolving, and it's such a beautiful opportunity. We've got some classes coming up. There's going to be more about the classes in the newsletter. We'll have a list of them, and registration will begin closer to the middle of September for offerings we have coming in October and November. Writing as a Path of Awakening with Reverend Christy Hardwick is the autumn schedule is on a website right now, and that's going to start in September. Please register now for that fantastic class. Breakthroughs people are having, just allowing themselves to listen to Spirit as them. And I'm going to be, mark your calendars for Sunday, September 26th. I'm going to be doing a 3-hour workshop with Sheikh Kabir Helminski, who's the author and Sufi Sheikh of Rumi's Mevlevi Order of Sufism. I believe it's going to be from 12 to 3 Eastern, but it might be from 3 to 6 Eastern. We're still figuring that out, but I know it's going to be Sunday afternoon sometime, September 26th. Next Sunday, if you are in the area of Columbus, Ohio, or you can get your person to join us in the park, September 12th, 10 a.m., we're going to live stream. Natalia Zuckerman's going to be in the house, in the park, in town, and we're going to live stream from Upper Arlington Park. More information is on the website, and it'll be in the newsletter too. And we're going to do a concert. It's going to be bring your own picnic lunch, so nobody has to work. We're going to provide charcoal and lighter fluid if you want to grill something on the wonderful grill space that's out there. But it's going to be every family for themselves. And at noon, from noon to 1:15, Natalia and I are going to do a Seeker 7 SoulCall appreciation concert. And we cannot wait to be singing live outside. It is going to be a situation where check the website for guidelines on mask wearing and socially distancing and all that kind of stuff. But it's going to be a very, very safe event for anyone who is interested in coming to join us. It's outside, perfect location for that. So join us for that. It's going to be awesome. Oh boy. We've got a poetry class coming up again in October with Kara Armstrong. And that's going to be Tuesday nights. And then I'm going to be offering a Sufism class, another class on Rumi. And Sheikh Kabir Helminski is going to join me from time to time, but that's going to be starting in September. That's going to be starting in October also. A 6-week class this time based on the poetry of Rumi, the inspiration of that cosmic intelligence and how it operates on all vibratory levels and dimensions. We say between worlds, and we'll talk a little bit more about what that means, but it's going to be an immersion in the world of Rumi. And I'm so excited about that. Natalia, every Sunday morning from 8:15, she does a wonderful, beautiful, I tuned in just for a moment this morning, a beautiful practice of yoga. And what fabulous letters we're receiving from all of our classes and events. And this new one we've just started offering in August is really being well received. So if you want a gentle approach to yoga, that would be great. Great start for you. And also in our newsletter, there's an opportunity, and you can go onto our website for prayers. If you are in need of prayer or healing of body, mind, or spirit, or you know someone who is in need of an extra boost, please send us an email at prayers@soulcallglobal.org. Our prayer team is doing a wonderful job reaching out to people, and our prayer team has teamed up with our healing arts team and sending Reiki to those who request it. So there's extra energy coming your way in the form of prayer and healing light. So opportunities, people ask how to donate. We have a Venmo, PayPal. You could send us a check, and all donations, big or small, we really accept them with great joy, because we're going to be into our fundraising drive coming up again to be able to help children who are in need. And SoulCall, moving closer to the holidays, we did a successful SoulCall Santa event, which we gave away over $5,000 worth of goods, services, food, and you made all of that possible. So we thank you. We thank you so much for all that you're doing to allow us to do this good and perfect work in the world. And wherever you are on the planet, Natalia, I always feel like I'm forgetting something. There's always a lot going on. Oh yeah, the rewind today. Yes, absolutely. At 11 o'clock, right after this, 11 o'clock Eastern, join me for SoulCall Sunday Rewind, where we have amazing in-depth conversations about the talk from the perspective of you. So join me. I can't wait to see you and hear from you and learn about your experiences being the neutral zone of consciousness and how you can put into practice allowing negative thoughts and other people's really angry ideas to just die at the net. You be the net of consciousness. So join me. And I thank you once again, Meditation Mondays and Wake Up with the Consciousness Cafe on Wednesday mornings. These are things you can watch at your leisure. Just watch them when you can, the Wake Up with the Consciousness Cafe, and circulate them to your friends. We're talking with people who have come fully alive following their soul's passion. So if you have someone you would like for us to interview, drop a line at info@soulcallglobal.org and tell us who that person might be. And if there's some superhero in your area who's doing amazing things, please drop us a line and info@soulcallglobal.org, and we'll give them the Soul Call shout out and say thank you for who you are on the planet and what you're bringing on the side of love and joy. So thank you for joining us. And remember, wherever you are on the planet, you are loved. Peace and blessings.
One family, one people, one planet, one love.